Hello folks, and welcome to another disturbingly jolly episode of the Audiophile Man. So what do I have for you this week? Well, I have a pair of headphones from the German company Sennheiser. They are called the HD620 S headphones. To the essentials then, let's get to the nub of matters. Well, to begin with, at any rate, what we have here is a pair of closed-backed over-the-ear headphones. They use dynamic drivers, and those drivers connect straight to your chosen device via a 1.8 meter cable, terminating in a 3.5mm plug with a 6.35mm converter, if you happen to need that. And that cable hooks into your headphones not via a Y-shaped cable yoke or similar, but into the base of the left cup only, weighing in, including the cable, at 326 grams. Not particularly light, not particularly heavy either. The price is at the intriguing £299.99, or between you and me, £300, give or take a penny. So at £300 then, we are talking about a design that will be noticed by audiophiles as a serious competing option on one side of the fence. And on the other side of the fence over here, the 620S headphones will also be noted by those with lower cost headphones, shall we say, as a possible upgrade. So I'm going to be comparing the new HD620S headphones with the older and cheaper HD569 models, but also with the more expensive 650s, a classic design, I would say, and the even more expensive 660S models, to see how they sit with the bigger, more expensive designs in this range. Now, just to add a little bit more meat to the designs themselves in a techie way, the 620S headphones use a 42mm angled transducer with a 38mm diaphragm held in place by steel reinforced headband sliders and artificial leather cup pads. The impedance is rated at 150 ohms, which is the same, for example, as the more expensive 660S designs, but a lot higher than the cheaper 569 headphones, which, what are they, 23 ohms I think they are. So to get the best out of the 620Ss, you may be looking at more audiophile quality kit. That is something serious in terms of amplification, either in terms of a desktop or mobile source. Saying that, in terms of actually getting them going, getting them moving along in the first place, well, the sensitivity is rated at 110 decibels, higher than the 660Ss at 96 decibels, or even, on a slight tangent, the Sendy Ava designs that I reviewed recently at 103 decibels. So, the 620S designs shouldn't be too hard to drive, I reckon. Based purely on figures alone, on a broad level, you might say that the 620S headphones are aimed at the audiophile desktop user, or those who like to run higher-end mobile digital audio players. In addition, again, based purely on observation and specs, the closed-backed designs should produce more enhanced bass response, and I'm guessing rock fans will be served well via the 620Ss. Supposition? Absolutely, sure, that's just my very rough guess until we get to the sound quality tests. Oh, and the cable itself is removable. If you can, grab a higher quality cable later on as a sort of upgrade, do so. In my experience, all Sennheiser headphones benefit from cable upgrades. Oh, one piece of advice on the cable and removing the same: do not give it a yank. Do not give it a hard pull, so to speak. it is locked into place with a sort of twisting lock action. So twist anti-clockwise and then firmly pull. And again, when you put the thing in, slot it home firmly and turn clockwise to lock. In terms of fit, well, you may have noticed I have a big head, which means that the strongly sprung headband on the 620S headphones, they kind of clamp onto my skull with some force. It's not uncomfortable, especially over long listening sessions, because you kind of get used to it. But, well, I would have preferred less pressure. Saying that, in contrast, my dear wife has a small head, and she found the fit to be perfectly comfortable. She had no issues, no complaints at all, because her head, of course, did not force the headband outwards, and there was no added pressure on her skull. Now, I must add, the headband never once hurt my head, and my ears were easily surrounded and covered. Now, my ears are not particularly flappy, but not once did the pads ever pinch or trap those ears. There was always plenty of room. So how do they sound then? Well, let's go to the sound quality tests and we will find out. And welcome to the sound quality tests for the Sennheiser HD620S headphones. To begin, I decided to go mobile just to see if a good quality DAP can actually drive these headphones, and I connected the 620Ss to my iBasso DX260 digital audio player. And I've recently reviewed the same, and there's a link above if you want to check that out. Now, I played one of my favourite review tracks, the Dove's Universal Want, from the album of the same name at 24-bit 96K, plugging in the headphones directly into the 3.5mm socket. Now, if I compared the new 620Ss with the more expensive 660Ss, the grand piano at the beginning of this track sits in a slightly larger space with more air travelling around it with those 660s, and the 660 is priced at somewhere around £429. The piano also sounds slightly fuller with a greater resonance. Now, although the 660Ss are an improvement over the 620s, that improvement is not exactly leaps and bounds, I would say. The 620S models do give a surprisingly good account of themselves in this area. Now, yes, the 660Ss offer a better performance in balanced mode, but in single-ended mode, well, the 620S models are decidedly competitive. It really raised my eyebrows, certainly. Bass from the 660Ss are better balanced across the soundstage, but the 620s offer more impact, more weight and punch, with the bass guitar being a star player on the 620s, instead of merging into the mix as they do on the 660s. Now, comparing the 620Ss with the classic 650s, priced at $320, I believe, the 650s offer a wider soundstage, a broad, open, prairie-like soundstage, in fact, with the air and space that runs off into the distance while the wind blows through your hair. But that means the 620S's score in terms of focus and precision, instead of the 650's large sonic canvas. There is a real contrast between the two. With the 620S's, the mids are up front, piano is more direct, yet the overall delivery does remain balanced and broadly neutral. Again, the 620S headphones score in bass terms with punch and impact. How about the cheaper 569 models? They retail around £150 or so, and they needed a much reduced gain from the start. The 569s also offered a leaner, thinner mid-range and treble, less delicacy, less fragility, stripped down, offering a more essential suite of information when compared to the 620s. As for the 620Ss, well, they, on the other hand, sounded richer, more complex, detailed, sonically more interesting. Bass, well, that was relatively rolled off on the 569s. The 620Ss offered a better grip, giving you more guts and emotion in bass terms. Now, all of the Sennheisers I've just compared the 620s with have all been open-backed. I wanted to compare the new 620Ss because they're closed-backed with some other closed-back designs. So I went out of the Sennheiser family and I looked at a pair of Meze Classic 99s. So they offer that trick, they offer that closed-backed bass, but with an open feel to the mids and the treble. So comparing the Meze Classic 99s with the Sennheiser HD620 S designs, comparing those two, well, I was pretty shocked at how much more open and spacious the 620S designs sounded. More than that, the bass on the 99s, they kind of sounded woolly and uncontrolled when compared to the 620s. The Sennheisers had a greater focus, releasing more detail with a mid-range insight that was a relief to hear when compared to the 99s. The 99s almost sounded overblown in comparison. Now, I wanted to finish the sound tests by pushing lots of power through the 620Ss, getting away from mobile, going to desktop with specifically my valve-driven high-end home-based headphone amp using an Icon Audio HP8 Mk.II, just to see if the 620's inherent personality, whether it would change in any way. Now, I kept the 99s in place and I played a CD via my Lima Elements CD player, pushed that through a topping D90 LE DAC, and the music in question, I used Get Me to the Church on Time via Rosemary Clooney and a Bluebird release, Rosie Solves the Swinging Riddle. The 99s, those headphones from Meze, sounded far better via the larger headphone amp. Better balanced, more cohesive mid-range, better delicacy in the treble, and a well-rounded bass. But the 620Ss, again, they offered a broader, more expansive soundstage, yet more reach in the mid-range with a far more impressive upper mid-range performance. There was fragility around the treble, and there was also a well-behaved and rather civilized bass performance, I would say. Even so, there was just a touch of power behind the drums, a little bit more power behind the tubular bells in the orchestra, just a touch of extra power behind the upright bass. Not enough to lose the music's own balance, but enough to provide a hint of strength, a hint of solidity and authority. And that, folks, is basically the review of the Sennheisers, the HD620Ss. I'm going to give you a few final thoughts, and I do have a few. I'm going to give you some pros and cons and a rating. Now, I really wasn't prepared for this. I thought the HD620Ss, I thought they'd sort of fall between two stools of quality and value, and I wasn't expecting much, I gotta say. That these headphones performed so well in a mobile environment and a home-based, shelf-based lounge system, and over contrasting musical genres, surprised me. That they would compete very well with other designs of a similar price point, they would dominate lower cost models, and they would compete and rather worry headphone designs at a higher price point, really did surprise me. The overall sound quality was just so impressive. And yes, Sennheiser is absolutely correct. For a closed-backed system, they absolutely do blend power on one side and an open mid-range and treble on the other. It's quite a feat, I have to say. as is that price point. The HD620Ss are great all-rounders. They offer great sound at a great price. What more do you need? Pros and cons. And in the good section, well, I just love the open mid-range, especially for these closed back designs. And as expected, these closed back designs enhance the bass. However, the Sennheisers really give extra focus. The 620s also offer a very welcome broad soundstage. More than that, while all this entertainment is occurring, the designs never forget to give a balanced output. I like that. In the bad section, well, it depends on your head and your head size. In my case, there was a bit of a clamping thing going on. Not everybody will experience that, and it's not a massive deal. I kind of got used to it over time. Now, my sheer surprise at the quality of the sound is reflected in the final rating, because I'm going to give this one a very high rating of a 9, a deeply groovy. Congratulations to Sennheiser. And that, folks, is the end of this video. Thank you very much for staying to the end. Before you go, if just down below you can click on the like and subscribe buttons, it will help the old algorithm, which is a bit of a beast, isn't it? I'm sure you'd agree. Down below, down there, I'm going to give you a link to these Sennheiser headphones if you want to check them out. I think you might be able to buy them from Sennheiser. I think they have their own shop. I'm not sure actually, but anyway, check them out down below. Also further down, my own links to my website. Please have a look at that. All kinds of stuff you won't find here. In addition, my Patreon page. There's all kinds of exclusive stuff over there, including a regular weekly video, hi-fi news, etc. There's a new one there right now. Have a little look. Also, my Facebook group, and you're welcome to join that too. I'll be back on Saturday with a music alert video, all the new releases on CD and vinyl. There may be even a book, who can tell. I'll be back then, and I would love to have your company. Until then, folks, bye-bye for now.